Well, folks, Ronan with Laughlin here. How's it going? I'm gonna give this thing a go here. YouTube, uh, and I'm gonna explain. What exactly I'm doing here. Why I've hit record. What the plan is for this channel. What you're gonna get from me on YouTube. But before I do, I'm just back from my first outdoor spin, and it's my first outdoor spin this year, and I think it's about my third in a month. And I hadn't actually realised I'd been outdoors so little because training had been going so well there for the last little while. We obviously had Christmas, and Christmas went really well. Santa came for the kids, which is obviously the most important thing. And he was very good to them. But it also went well. I mean, obviously the focus of this channel is going to be on cycling. So in terms of training, it also went really well for me. And I think it went really well, despite the fact that by no matter what measure you want to use, my training is nowhere near what it used to be. It's way down in terms of miles, in terms of hours, in terms of TSS, whatever measure you want to use, it's down, and that's fine, because just two kids in the house and all that now. I've also done plenty in cycling. Work's got very busy. There just isn't as much time as there used to be. But thankfully I've got 15, 20 years or so of kilometers in the legs, and so I can get away with a little bit less. And I've also learned a few things along the way, and that I want to share with you, that hopefully mean that you can, apply them to your own riding, maybe benefit your own training a little bit. And the thing I want to talk about today is something I've been thinking a lot about on today's ride, and that is perfect being the enemy of done. And the reason I'm thinking that is because, as I said, training had been going quite well. I'd done most of my training over the Christmas on the indoor trainer, and I was focusing really on quality over quantity. It was all about getting some good work done every day. Had a training stimulus that I had in mind that I wanted to do, and because it's this time of year and it's pretty far out from the goals that I have for this year, the training was, generally speaking, it's pretty general. It can be at this time of year. It doesn't need to be overly specific. And so it was going well. And the last spin that I was sort of had in this plan before I got back to work on Monday was last Sunday, this day last week. And I'd sort of been mixing up getting up early and getting spins done before the family got up, and then just picking whatever time I got during the day to get a spin done. And I mean, in terms of, if you want to talk about perfect, that was neither the perfect training plan, the perfect recovery plan, the perfect nutrition plan. When you're picking random spots throughout the day or picking times very early in the morning, none of those things are optimized perfectly. But I was still feeling very, very good about what I'd done. And so I got to last Sunday, and that was one of those days that I was starting very early in the morning. I think I was up around 5 or something like that, and I got a good session done. I got 3 hours done. But because it was early in the morning, and because probably it came to the end of a big block, I just hadn't done what I know needs to be done to train right these days. And throughout the Christmas period, I've been setting myself intervals, and I've been hitting the target every time, hitting the duration every time. There was no failed sessions, there was no failed intervals. And last Sunday I didn't fail either. But what I think I did do in hindsight was it was just that little step too far. Because come Sunday night, I really struggled to sleep on Sunday. I couldn't sleep. So I got up on Monday morning. And although the Sunday was my last big training day, I had hoped to do a training session on Monday and Tuesday, because on Wednesday I had an operation to take out my 4 wisdom teeth planned. And so I knew I was going to be off the bike for a week after that. Maybe another week finding my feet again. And so I was hoping to do a session on Monday and Tuesday, but having not slept on Sunday night, Monday was a write-off. That wasn't happening. But that was fine. You know, I'm at this long enough to know that you can miss a day, you can have a plan, but the two important things about plans are, first of all, to have one, and second of all, to allow yourself to deviate from it when needs be. And so Monday didn't happen, fine. Tuesday also didn't happen though. And by Tuesday I was sort of thinking, probably should do something. But again, you know, I wasn't stressed about it. I had good work done. Okay, I was going to have another week off after that, but you know, so be it. These things happen. You can take a week off. It maybe takes you 2 weeks to find where you were before, and then you know it's as if it never happened. So wasn't overly worried about that. Then come Wednesday. The operation was cancelled anyway, and so then my week off the bike is cancelled. But still, I was looking at myself and thinking, I just would not be bothered getting on the trainer today. It was cold and snowing here, and definitely wasn't going to go outdoors, but even indoors, as you can see, in my garage, it's quite cold. And so I was looking at myself going, it's just still not happening. And then, it does start to spiral then. As I was starting to doubt the goals that I had for this year. Is it too much? Is this, why am I doing this? What am I thinking? I still wasn't sleeping right, and so that leaves you tired and it leaves you grumpy. And it's first days back at work after holidays, and things are just full gas. And so that was a sort of a difficult moment this week. And while I'm more and more telling myself you need to do something now, the more I say that, the less chance there is of actually getting something done. And again, going back to, I have enough experience to know that if your mind is telling you should do something, quite often in terms of training, you maybe shouldn't, because there's always a conflict there between what, as an athlete, you feel you should be doing, and what actually, as a human, might be right for your body or your mind or whatever it is. But the other thing that was starting to creep in on Wednesday that is worrying for me was, like, I had this thought, as I'm trying to ask myself, is it right to go on the trainer today? Should I do some training? I had this thought, what's the sense in doing any session if I'm not going to do the right one? And that is totally the wrong way to think. That is, it couldn't be further from the truth. And that there's a saying in Gaelic football, random, I know, but anyway, there's a saying in Gaelic football: take your goals and your points will come. And that sort of stems from the fact that it's easier to score a point than it is to score a goal. If you're not familiar with Gaelic football, the goals in Gaelic football they're kind of like the goals that you see in soccer, the other football, but they're better. And they're better because in soccer you've got this rectangle, 2 goalposts and a crossbar. If you score within that rectangle, it's a goal. And it's the same in Gaelic football. But in Gaelic football, you've got the posts on either side extends way up beyond the crossbar. And so if you put the ball over the crossbar and between those uprights, that's a point. A goal is worth 3 points, so that's better. But a goal is much harder to come by because you have to go behind the opposition and score into their goal that they're defending. Whereas the Gaelic footballers, with the skill they have, they can stand way back and shoot for a point and get the ball over the crossbar between the uprights and score a point. And 3 of those easier shots with accuracy is worth 1 of the more difficult to achieve goals. And you really have to take the same mindset into your training, be it in cycling. You almost have to take the same mindset into anything in life, I think, in that it's very, very easy to think that your training plan should be perfect. But trying to think up the perfect training plan and trying to adhere to the perfect training plan is so tough that if you're trying to make every training session into a goal, you're gonna get battered. It's not sustainable. You can't, if Gaelic football teams only went for goals, I'm no expert in Gaelic, but I'm assuming they wouldn't win very many matches, because if you take your points, your goals will come, either in the form of the points adding up to the same value as the goal, or you'll get a goal here and there. And that's what I was trying to remind myself on Wednesday and Thursday, is like, if I can just get back and just take a point here, then that will be me back on a good footing again. And so I, reminding myself, your training days are like points. And so what had been going so well was that I'd had a plan. Again, it didn't have to stick to it, didn't have to be perfect, but having a plan just sort of eliminates so much of the fatigue around trying to decide what to do for training on a daily basis. And so I knew the first step would be, while that plan had disappeared because I'd missed Monday and Tuesday and then the operation was cancelled, the first step to getting me back in the right headspace to shoot for points was to sit down and write a plan. And that makes it sound like something difficult. It was like a 10-second job. Today I'll do this, Friday I'll do this, Saturday I'll do that. And that's what I did. And Thursday was the start of the plan. Thursday was an hour and a half maybe, with a few intervals that I had done a week previously, sort of sweet spot work, just sort of giving myself some sense of, doing something, taking a point. But I felt like crap, and the watts were way down on what they had been a week earlier. But that was okay. It was like I was just getting a scrappy point on the scoreboard, and I've been doing this for long enough to know that, a younger me would have said to myself, "Oh, you've had 3 days off, and now you've lost all your form, and it's gone to crap." And you just can't undo weeks of good work or months of good work from missing a few days here and there. If you're missing a few days here and there every week, that's a different story. But again, solid block of work done, few days off, you can't lose that much. And so I got through Thursday. Friday, got an easy 45 minutes done, and then I was into the weekend, and I was, Saturday was, again, it was one of those days where I got a session done in the middle of the day, and actually I got a split day done yesterday. That's how much things turned around. It was like I had a plan again, feeling good again, and I got 2 sessions done yesterday, combined total of just under 3 hours, but 2 sessions done yesterday, and then I got 3 hours done on the road today. And all of a sudden, I'm obsessed with my goals for this season again. I'm feeling good about them. Everything that was a problem earlier in the week is now an opportunity. And it was just it was a reminder to me to take the points and the goals will come. And it was a reminder to me that perfect is the enemy of done. And that, if I was getting a training plan that wasn't perfect done throughout the months prior to this, I'm feeling good about it. And then this week when I got sucked into trying to think about what would be the perfect next step or what would be the perfect way back in this, it was getting harder and harder to get done, whereas you just take a step back and shoot for a point, and lo and behold, a few days later I've got more than a goal scored in points, and that sort of gets me to why I hit record in this video, why, if you're seeing this, that I've hit publish, and that's, first of all, the most important thing to say is that not very much is going to change. The Escape Collective website and the Escape Collective podcast are still the place where you will find me most. I'll be having written articles and podcasts there all week, every week, and so that won't change. But I do really enjoy consuming YouTube content. I watch a lot of YouTube, but I've long since been put off having my own YouTube channel because perfect is the enemy of done. First of all, I hate the sound of my own voice, so that's kind of a problem. I might not watch this back. But more importantly, I was put off because, you watch YouTube and you see, the perfect YouTube channel, the perfect YouTube video, the perfect YouTube thumbnail, the video that's getting 100,000 views must be the perfect YouTube video. I don't know, but What I do know is that I don't have the time or the expertise to deliver a channel in the way that those professional creators do. I don't have the time to be going out and shooting B-roll, shooting different angles, thinking up of content to cover or topics to cover. I don't have time to be making the perfect thumbnail, whatever that is. And so for those reasons, I've never really done it. But again, I just had that realization this week that, again, perfect is the enemy of done. And so what you will get here is, it won't be polished, it won't be edited, there'll be no B-roll, there'll be no perfect thumbnail, there'll be no other angles. I will hit record, I will talk for a bit about whatever it is that is, whatever learning has come back to me from 20 years in the sport, and come back to me this week, or you will hear me talk about whatever tip I've picked up, through my own writing that I want to pass on, or whatever it is that week, or just generally speaking, whatever is on my mind about cycling, about training, about performance, and yeah, it's really just going to be, it'll be mostly performance focused, but I hope cyclists of any focus can take something from it. And I'll be talking about stuff that might not always have made it into Escape Collective articles or podcasts, because it's very difficult for me to talk about why perfect is the enemy of done in an Escape Collective article when there's so much other stuff that needs to be done there. Whereas if I hit record on this, spend 10 minutes talking about it, and had published, hopefully that same audience can get something from that, can enjoy something from that. Hopefully the next generation of cyclists coming through can maybe pick up something from what I've learned in my time, or if you're training for an event or something this year, I've got a couple of goals that I want to target this year. I'll be talking about those of that and the training I do for those of that. So hopefully what I'll be sharing as I work towards my goals, you can apply to you working towards your goals. But I think to wrap this up and to bring it full circle, what is the channel going to be? I'm not exactly sure. I'm still figuring that out. But I can tell you what it won't be. It won't be perfect, but it will be done. And so that's the first one done.